And the question to you all is in 1 minute, if there was one lesson learned during COVID that would help us all build a better next normal, what would it be and why?
I think we were thrown into this social experiment that the education world around the globe had been contemplating for decades of moving on to digital education. And we were forced to incubate it and create it and make it happen overnight. And I want to just give me an extra 30 seconds. I agree with Firas. CLT magically in the background made it happen for all of us. I think we take that for granted. They had like 3 weeks notice, and first day, everything was up and running, which very few institutions were able to do. So if there was one thing, I think moving forward, this forced social experiment has made it very clear that there are a lot more discrepancies across the globe in digital poverty and access to these types of technologies. So there are people in the world that have had no access to education for a year because they have no access to digital competency and digital infrastructure. So that has been really highlighted. The other discrepancy is that we have a lot of different learners in our classrooms. And I don't know about the people on this call, but the number of students that have confidentially shared with me the mental health struggles and the anxieties that they're facing as a result of this pandemic has skyrocketed. And the way they learn and the kind of support they need is different in this Zoom world. Not everyone is a visual learner. Not everyone is an auditory learner. And they are discriminated against in this platform. So if anything, if I leave this, because this gap has been highlighted so much, I don't want us to forget it when we move forward and go back to just assuming that everyone is able-bodied, walking, talking, seeing, hearing, able to process in the same way that is statistically typical of everyone else, because that is not the truth.
Even though we moved out of campus and we're now, everyone is staying in their homes, maybe in the same country or even in different countries, but we actually get to meet a lot. We get to exchange ideas a lot. And I think this is one of the things that has contributed to whatever success we are going through now with our teaching. So success is only coming from teamwork, and this team should include within it students as well. So continuing to listen to students, taking their feedback, adapting ourselves, learning from one another. So I started looking into other departments and what are they doing, because they're teaching a course of similar theme to what I'm doing. So let's think together how we can address challenges. So I think opening the doors or breaking down silos or getting out of our islands and exploring what other people are doing is the kind of teamwork that we need to keep after we're back.
The lesson that we've learned is that we can be a lot more flexible than we thought we could be, as I'll get more than one lesson, and as adaptable than we could be, and tolerant than we could be. Tolerant of each other and tolerant of our students. I've seen the narrative change over the past year from skepticism and maybe suspicion of students to all-out bonding and forming alliances with students so that our teaching and their learning experiences are one and the same. If we're successful, they're successful. If we're healthy, they're healthy. So I think flexibility and adaptability, and also the sense of community as we take on these challenges together, these are the things that I think AUC has taken to heart and will really propel us forward in the next few years.
Yeah, I would say that the impact that our emotions, particularly traumatic emotions, and our well-being, our physical and mental well-being, has on our academic success. I mean, we know there are a lot of studies that show when people are in very stress-induced situations, sometimes their IQ literally drops. And we've all kind of been in that. So that the ability to process and recall and even commit to long-term memory, some of the things that we're trying to teach in this time has been really difficult. So, I mean, I wouldn't suggest that I'm not suggesting that we cut everyone slack in every area, but it's definitely a lesson to understand that a lot of our students, whether they tell us or not, have really some serious situations going on, and that we just need to be aware of that and how it's impacting their ability to take on our information that we're that we're sharing and facilitating and helping them think critically about.
I would invest more time in perfecting this flipped classroom modality and tailoring it to the various course types, because I think it differs, the way you do it differs from one course to another.
Well, I absolutely agree with everything my colleagues here have just said on the panel. I couldn't agree more. If I had to add one additional lesson learned, it would probably be the importance of developing growth mindset. I think that some students and faculty and staff and administrators have thrived over the last year, and some have just barely survived. And I think that one of the things that has made all the difference is the way that they've approached these obstacles, the kind of attitude that they've approached these challenges with. We can't control everything. We know that we can't control a lot of these things, but what we can control is the way that we respond to these situations. I mean, we can be positive, we can be proactive, we can try to, keep pushing at the problem until we find a way around it and grow from that experience. And I think that students and faculty, staff, administrators that have done that, have been able to come out of this last year with something valuable.